Hello and welcome to another edition of Unpopular Reviews. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And today it is me, Vic, and Evil Dose talking about everything wrestling right now. We're going to be talking about Smackdown and a little bit of the Royal Rumble. So, Jeff, how you doing, man?
I am doing well, and thanks for having me on, Vic. This was thrown together a little bit last minute, but we wanted to put on a SmackDown review show and talk a little Rumble. Folks out there, us at Unpopular Review, we are not unaware of the events of the past couple of days. We're not going to discuss them, not because we're ignoring them. We're not going to discuss them in any detail or at all today, except for now, because we didn't want you to think we were ignoring a giant 400-pound, gorilla or maybe a 2-ton elephant in the room. No, we're half the crew at least is down in St. Petersburg going to the Royal Rumble. So not everyone is around to weigh in and decide who's best to talk about it. Or maybe we'd have multiple shows, who knows? So we're going to marinate it, and the whole team will address it when we figured out who's going to do that show and how we're going to do it. So we're aware of it, but today is escapism. We want you to escape. Whether you think that's a good idea, if you think it's a bad idea, turn off. But if you want to enjoy a little escapism, talk about what wrestling is, which is escapism and SmackDown and the Rumble, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're limiting to, but we want to let you know why in advance. With that disclaimer out of the way, SmackDown.
Yeah, so last night's show was pretty interesting because it pretty much started with Randy Orton coming out and giving praise to the baseball player that he was in the commercial in, which was pretty interesting. You know what I mean? But that whole situation is pretty wild. If you have seen the commercial, I wish I would have had it on me so that we could show Randy Orton fanboy, because that was pretty interesting, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, he said, thank you for putting me in your music video. Was that? I guess that was a slip. I see. I don't know who that guy was, so I just assumed he was.
Yeah, I didn't know either, but I saw the commercial and I was like, oh, okay, interesting. You know what I mean? Like, yo, like I love how much cross branding there is, and how much the superstars get used in other forms of entertainment. Because let's be honest, Randy Orton, his time in the sunset is coming close. He's probably got another maybe 3, probably 4 years, in my opinion. I mean, who knows with his situation? So for him to start doing things, because honestly, like, I think he's made a couple of movies and things like that, but I don't know if he's ever really, put himself out there to do other stuff like some other wrestlers do. So, I think I'm happy for him, good for him, but this whole thing pretty much just started setting up the triple threat match, because then AJ Styles comes out and they have their little tit for tat, and then LA Knight comes out and he starts with the "let me talk to you," and that whole situation is interesting to me because I like how LA Knight is still in the title picture, but it doesn't necessarily seem like it's being geared towards him. But then at the same time, it might. Who knows what's gonna happen tonight? I mean, the prediction is just that Roman's gonna win, and that, you know what I mean. But you never know. You never know how they're gonna build everybody else. Because
the important thing is that it's clear they're not friends. They're not in this to 3-on-1 against Roman Reigns. Randy Orton, he wants to go for his 15th title. Double A, Angry AJ, is still mad that LA Knight stepped over his dead body to get himself into this position, as if that's not what everyone's supposed to do. Next man up. He lets Randy Orton know that he remembers that RKO and he's due a receipt. LA Knight lets them all know, I don't care about any of you. And if you think that I stepped over your body to get a match with Solo Sikoa tonight, you're crazy. Why the hell would I want a match against Solo Sikoa tonight? That was Paul Heyman, because I'm the threat and he recognizes the threat. Not you two jabronis. Now shut up, dummies. Yeah. And, and then, when he leaves, Orton, seems to be enjoying what LA Knight is saying until AJ, until LA Knight lets Orton know that he's not on his side either. Then he sort of looks a little bit surprised, but before he can register, AJ Knight delivers a super kick and then a Pele kick, and Randy gets his receipt right then and there, and so they're not friends, and that it's an interesting setup to the show. I still don't know why a baseball pitcher has Randy Orton in a music video or a commercial. What does a baseball player have a commercial for?
No, it's all about RKO. It's this whole thing with RKO. Because in the commercial, he's all like, "Oh, you're a legend." No, you're a legend, and they both start fanboying off of each other. So I think the guy is just. I'm sorry.
What's the commercial for? I mean, obviously, if he's a baseball player, what's he on the Mets?
I mean, I didn't see the full commercial. I just saw the Randy Orton segment, to be honest with you, because I literally was just like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting," But I just find it interesting how they have, now I'm just saying there's a lot more cross branding. For example, we'll talk about this later with Logan Paul and all of his stuff, because he's interviewing people, but then at the same time he's champion and he's pushing the prime, and then he's doing this whole thing with Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens is getting it's all of this stuff that's just that I find interesting, because I remember a long time ago it was just frowned upon to promote anybody else's stuff unless it was Slim Jim or somebody like that. You know what I mean? I just feel there's more opportunities now for everybody.
Well, everybody asks, what's the name of this era? And, you could do the post Vince era. You could say it's the Nick Khan era. You could say it's the TKO era. But you could also say it's the what's best for business era. And Logan Paul is clearly a business transaction and involves his drink prime. By the way, Slim Jim, who said, we're out, Vince McMahon resigned, they're back in. That's the end of me talking about Vince McMahon.
Wow.
But they're, so they snapped out. They took and they snapped right back in. So that's all it took was. I mean, that's no small thing. It might be the biggest story in the history of wrestling if it didn't happen once already 2 years ago and then reversed itself wrestling. But Slim Jim's back in, so you can still snap into a Slim Jim. Anyway, what's best for business?
Yeah, it's always like that, what's best for the brand, pretty much, unfortunately.
Yeah, because Logan Paul is not an angel either.
I mean, the thing is, anybody's behavior can be criticized, and then you can put your light on it, and the thing is that if the lie is more entertaining than the truth, then the lie will last. You know what I'm saying? So it really depends. It really depends on how big that whole situation actually is. Because
I'm just.
But anyway,
there's going to come a time where something involving Logan Paul is going to make him more embarrassing than his value. But I'm not denying how naturally great he is at being a professional wrestler and a sports entertainer and everything that's involved. He's fantastic at it. But
he is. He pretty much picked it up in a short amount of time. So now let's roll back to talking about AJ Styles, because I'm really interested into seeing what the future holds for AJ Styles, because I clearly don't think he's going to win this match. But I think something else is going on. And the reason I say that is because shortly after this whole promo for the triple threat match happened, AJ Styles is seen backstage with the rest of his former crew, current crew, or who knows, but it looks like it reminds me a little bit of when the Acclaimed was trying to get to MJF type of thing, like they're trying to get back in his good graces. I want to see why AJ Styles is so upset and treating them like go away, but then they're all like, we're family, what's wrong with you?
I don't think we're ever going to find out the why. I think the why was what he already said, which was basically they tried to contact him and he didn't respond, and he's like, you didn't try hard enough. I think that's the end of it. But I mean, AJ's definitely not winning the Fatal 4-Way. Well, I say that, and the reason I say it is exactly what you just pointed out. What's LA Knight's story outside of this? Nothing. What's Randy Orton's story outside of this? Nothing. What's AJ Styles' story outside the Fatal 4-Way? Discord in his own faction with the OC and Michin. So obviously they're going to play some role in it. My guess is that at some point Michin, gets up on the apron to try to get the ref's attention that the bloodline is cheating or whatever, and AJ, is doing a move and he doesn't realize, and he backs into her, knocks her down, and then he gets into an argument with the OC, and either it's just words, and he goes back in, and it's around the same time that Orton and LA Knight are beating up Jimmy and Solo, and he walks into a spear, or the OC actually deliver their finisher to AJ by surprise, and they throw him back in, and he walks into a spear after Roman was basically unconscious for the last 2.5 minutes. So I think AJ takes the pin for that. I know a lot of people are saying LA Knight's going to, but I think it's AJ for you don't kill the new hot guy, and I think Orton, it's too soon for him to do it. So the only way to protect everyone is this, and it's the only. Listen, let's face it. WWE does not value Gallows and Anderson. They're there only because AJ wants them to be there, and so they can sell OC merch instead of AJ Styles, who owns his own name. So there you go. That's my take on why I'm predicting AJ Styles to eat the pin.
I feel you. Okay. And now another interesting backstage segment that happened shortly after this was a situation between Paul Heyman and Jimmy Uso, which I also found interesting because and Paul Heyman is literally just the greatest of all time. I swear, he really is. The way, just his way with words and his level of convincing people to do things is just incredible. Like, he just is holding Jimmy by a string, and Jimmy is doing everything in his power to try to get back in the good graces. And I'm really curious to see how far that goes. But now he's pretty much just trying to set him up to go after Seth Rollins for the title, which is going to be interesting because I can't wait to see Jimmy and Jey Uso face each other at the Rumble. There should be some type of situation, some type of face-off, some type of something, right? But both of them are in it, so that should be the beginning of the setup for that match. And I'm very interested in seeing that match. And the reason why is because I always felt like that was a team that they would never break up. I mean, they're brothers. I never thought that they would figure out a way. Exactly, twin brothers at that. I never thought that they would figure out a way to split them up and to have each of them become singles wrestlers and have each of them have their own thing. I'm totally here for it. And honestly, I'm waiting for Rikishi to show up.
Oh, he will. But not.
He's got 3 kids. I mean, he's still running around in the signature circuit, but
let me break in for a moment here because there's a lot. I mean, first of all, Paul Heyman's terrific, but he's never going to be number one because Bobby Heenan's number one. So he can be Paul Heyman can be a very solid number 2.
Yeah.
Second of all, I have talked about this at length. Back going to when they were doing the tribal warfare thing, that they blew it. They should have had Rikishi. They should have had his brother. They should have had Haku. They should have had Afa, Sika, everyone in there, even Tamina. They should have had a whole 5 families head of the table thing where they're all having meetings and deciding the tribal warfare, and they can do it again before Elimination Chamber. I mean, the flights can stop in San Francisco where there's a whole lot of people located. The plane is going to go over Samoa and Guam. The charter can land in all these places. They can set this up on the way to Perth, Australia, which is on the far side from Australia from the United States. It's all the way down in the southwest corner from where we're positioned. And if they don't do this whole, if they don't make this whole tribe extend to the actual tribe, and you have our cousins from Tonga, and you have Haku over there, and Tama Tonga, who's a free agent right now, and other, and the Tonga kid there, who's Rikishi's brother. If you don't have our friends from Fiji, and you have Tamina Snuka there, I mean, even Nia Jax can be in the room. Acknowledge her. Just do the whole thing. If you don't do the whole thing, put Lance Anoa'i and Juicy. I don't care. Give them all paychecks. It doesn't mean they're all signed. And all of the San Francisco 29 Samoans who run the in the indies around there, whatever. Put them all in the room. Give them all a nice $1,500 payday. Put them in these things and show that vignette over and over again. That is good. The second thing, I literally want Jimmy, because he's the heel, to yell as loud as he possibly can. Not yeet, not yeet, but I should have eaten you in the womb.
Nice. Stupid. That was funny. Oh man, that was funny. All right, so now let's get to the next match. And it was an interesting match because finally Carlito got his hands on Santos Escobar, which is interesting because they're pushing the LWO thing. They're pushing the whole. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like it's all hands on deck to try to get Santos Escobar over as a heel. And I think it's working. I think
he's over as a heel, and I think Ray is coming back in the Royal Rumble, and then that's going to be your next feud. But I mean, the best part of this was finally Elektra Lopez gets acknowledged on the main roster. So obviously she's losing to Lola Vice next week and doing the honors and coming to the main roster. But she's terrific. She is great. And for those of you who don't see, she's not a necessarily great wrestler. She's fine. She's better than the average valet wrestler, but she is a great talker, and she's a big woman, and she's a big presence, and she looked great doing it. She can be the bully to Zelina. The whole thing. The whole thing is great. It's just awesome. I love they brought Carlito back. I love that their sides here. I love that Ray's been out of it. I love that Dominic is not involved at all. But one day they could if they want. If they want to make this last long, and the bloodline thing is dead, and the Judgment Day thing is dead or dying, and they can put Dominic insert him into the story and give people a fresh reason to boo him, because without Mommy, it's not the same Dominic. You send him out there with JD McDonough, and nobody cares. You send him out there with Dominic, it's electric boos. But yeah, I thought it was great, and that allows Santos to go 2-0 against Carlito in singles competition. I mean, I know he's 44 and he's supposed to take the L's, but that guy's not supposed to win every match. But this is great. This is like some four horseman shit.
Facts. That is true. Well, it was definitely an interesting match, especially seeing Elektra Lopez come back, and I'm happy about that because now Zelina Vega's got somebody to play with. Because truth be told, like she's been more of a valet. You know what I mean? Like she comes out and does the whole thing, but she hasn't really been. Unless it's been like a 6-man or some kind of, you know what I mean? She hasn't really been doing much lately. So I'm excited about that because I definitely think that those two, because I love Zelina Vega because she's got great mic skills. And I think that those two could definitely put on a nice little program.
I love Zelina Vega because of her mic skills as well. Are they doing another show in Puerto Rico?
Oh, well, certainly not Blacklash, but eventually they should, in my opinion, because that was. I mean, but one thing that happens is that every crowd that doesn't get WWE there all the time for a really, really long time is going to pop like that.
I know, but Elektra Lopez versus Zelina Vega in Puerto Rico or Mexico City or any.
That would be interesting.
I mean, that could be a blood feud, but there's no title involved, so that's like a marquee match. Really no impact on the rest of the card. It's an easy choice, and it's going to be a hot choice. And I mean hot in a lot of ways, because I mean they're both super hot. Yeah, I mean, obviously my wife is Latina, so maybe I have a weakness or a strength. But yeah, wow.
Facts for real. That was
how do you say "rao" in Spanish?
That is funny, man. Let me see. Oh, so now let's talk about the Rock's daughter a little bit. I love how she is. really taking on her role as a general manager and being there to assist people getting their numbers. Oh, wow. I found that interesting. Now, you could look at it in one or two ways. You could look at it as nepotism to the highest degree,
Of course it is.
or she might have earned it because look, one thing that I like about her is that she's starting at the bottom as far as, you can call it FCW if you want, where she's taking her bumps and she's doing what she has to do. Mind you, she's going to be a first, right?
She's fourth
generation superstar. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Samantha Starr says she is on both sides of her family. Samantha Starr is Baby Doll's daughter.
Okay, I didn't know that was.
But
all right,
I would say Samantha Starr is in the Indies and NWA, and that doesn't count. Listen, Ava Raine is not good at her job. She doesn't have any of the tools. But since they're giving her this role, you might as well roll with it, and everybody is. And I'm glad that they're letting the world know who she is without telling her who she is. I think they should just roll into it. They should change her name from Ava Raine to Pebbles Johnson. I mean, stop hiding the obvious. It's like that. You know how I feel about hiding giant elephants. Don't hide the obvious. Who cares? Because she has no affect in her voice. She barely shows emotion. And will she get better? Yeah, probably. She's only 22. But
you know what though?
She's not a good wrestler, so this is fine.
You know what though? I remember Rocky Maivia and how bland Rocky Maivia was.
She's been bland for 2.5 years. I need people to stop doing that. Okay, Rocky Maivia wasn't this bland. He wrestled the same, and the Rock. I mean, the Rock was only on TV full time for 4 or 5 years. He wasn't boring for 80% of that time. He was the most electrifying man in sports entertainment for 80% of that time. She's been on TV for like 2.5 years. The whole schism thing stunk.
I think that thing stunk.
This is fine. What she's doing is fine. I like the Nick Aldis recognized her. Everybody's shaking her hand very respectfully. The first scene is with the Pride. They all have matching gear. Finally, like good looking black and gold gear, cool, looking like kings. Everyone's shaking her hand like it's business. Great. This is all good.
All right, so now let's talk about some new factions.
Bobby, puts his number. He looks happy, but then he tells Santos Escobar he hasn't forgotten about Santos Escobar, and then Santos puts his number too. So that's good because Santos Escobar cost him in the U.S. title, and I'm glad he didn't just forget about it that he mentioned it because that sort of got sidetracked because they decided to make this Killer Cross, Karrion Kross faction, Last Testament, which looks like a Baptist cross, for God's sake.
It does. It was weird. That shirt was very weird. Yeah. I wonder, where this is going. They look good. They do. They look good. They look threatening. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Bobby's doing business. Street Profits is doing business for them. Definitely trying to get them over. I think they're definitely going to need some kind of story. Their look alone is definitely not going to be it. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen.
Honestly,
I've heard
this is so mixed up. Like the Street Profits needed something, but this isn't it. And Bobby, like AOP being behind Bobby would have made more sense because he's got his thugs, these giant guys, and he's already a giant guy. The Street Profits should be doing something else. Cross, he looks less intimidating, not more intimidating, because those two guys are giant guys. And what do they need Ellering for if they already have Scarlett? I mean, the whole thing for me, Cross should have gotten what was going to be the Wyatt family. He should have Bo Dallas, not exactly Uncle Howdy, but in some sort of character. He should have Eric Rowan there doing something scary. He should have Dexter Loomis, who's basically Cross without talking. He should have the the serious Dungeon of Doom. It's
I
not like,
agree.
it's not
Speaking
like
of Dexter Loomis, where the hell is he?
as far as I know, he's been doing shows on Tacoma Fire Department once or twice.
Wow.
Aside from that,
Wow.
nobody knows, but he hasn't been released. So hey, listen,
Mm.
maybe he found that Bo Dallas closet, where the people used to say, where what's his name, Maho and then Aleister Black and AOP used to say we're looking for a fight, and Bo Dallas for 3 years hid in that closet and avoided getting released. Maybe that's where Dexter Loomis is hiding.
Probably. I mean, he was
Probably upside down like a vampire.
I think he'll get a pop if he shows up tonight. That's funny. I think he'll get a pop if he shows up tonight. But it'll be short lived though.
He'll get crickets. He might get a pop from those of us watching stand-up hardcores, but I mean, I think only 3% of us out there care. It's not his fault. I mean, he came in, they did nothing with him. They did something stupid, the usual. The Miz hired him, but not really. And then they put him with the Way, then they weren't committed to the Way, and then he just disappeared. And then he did a couple things on NXT with Indy, and then they moved Indy to the main roster, and she was hurt, and so whatever. But again, unless they're going to have Bo Dallas sort of reincarnate a new Wyatt family kind of thing, and Dexter Loomis is part of that, I don't know what to do with him, but we're spending way too much time on Dexter Loomis.
That's
given
true.
what's
That's
going on
true.
this weekend.
All right, well, let's talk about Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah,
let's talk about him. He had they're slowly. I kind of like the way that they're booking the NXT guys to slowly come into the main roster. The match that he had with Austin Theory was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, like Austin Theory is just money, bro. Like for me, it's hard for me to hate on the kid. I think that he's a really good heel. And I think that this match, more than anything, was just to get Carmelo Hayes over as a face in the main roster. And they definitely. I'm sorry.
They don't want any more of those when you introduce Dexter Loomis or Bronson Reed or Johnny Gargano or Candice LeRae or pick anyone, and the crowd is like, who the fuck's this? I'm not cheering this enhancement talent. They want you to know that this is someone they've invested in. Even if you don't watch NXT, by the third time they're on TV within 4 weeks that this is someone that they should pay attention to. The audience, I mean, so yeah, this is great. This is a great slow introduction. He still has an NXT story. It can explain what happens. They can continue on parallel lines as they've done with Dragon Lee. And then they can bring them back and forth until they're ready to make a full commitment. But yeah, very good. And I think it was a brave thing to come back. It's confidence to run that match back and not be afraid of that match because they had to stop it sort of in an embarrassing fashion. And it was probably the right thing to do. It doesn't seem like either one of them were actually hurt, which is great. But run it back. And they brought Trick in, who people, whether they knew him from NXT or just saw him and go, this guy's 6'3", he's cut, this is someone who's got natural charisma. And he came in and they continued the story. And Trick is like, I don't know how many people heard it, but over the commentary and the noise, but Trick's like, I didn't rescue you. I didn't do this for you. I did this for us. We're going to win the Dusty Cup. So Trick is still Team Trick Mello, and Mello's sort of still, Mello, I'm him.
So I mean, I found that whole thing interesting because I was shocked by the pop that Trick Williams got. That was a big pop. But
what's that Trick?
And that part of it is definitely over. Now, with that being said,
my breakout star 2023 was Trick Williams.
Now, the unfortunate thing about certain chants sometimes is I feel like the chant gets bigger than the wrestler. I feel that way a little bit about LA Knight, but I only take it back because LA Knight's got amazing mic skills. So
Seth Rollins has ridden that for 6 years. So
what do you mean?
The burn it down. It's stupid. The people love to hum his stupid ass song.
I mean, but you know what? The thing with Seth Rollins is that his matches are always going to be quality. You know what I'm saying? Like he can always, like, especially at Mania, he always puts on a quality match, and that
Everybody's
whole
matches
song
should
thing.
be quality matches if they're on
Oh,
WWE or
I wish.
TV, and if they're on
I
AEW, they
wish.
shall be quality matches. This is the major leagues. When it's not quality, that should be when you pull the when you pull the reliever in for another reliever. I listen. I know a lot of people love Seth, and I can't. He's very talented, I suppose, but to me, it's like the teacher like dragging their nails across the blackboard in school. It's like he's like the human embodiment of irritation to me.
That's hilarious. No, well, no, I disagree with that. But I definitely see, I see what you, I see. I kind of see where you're coming from, because in my opinion, the Seth Rollins doesn't necessarily have the best mic skills. I think that he's great in the ring, but one thing that I think most people respect about Seth Rollins is his spirit, and what I mean by that is like how much he like defends the company, how much he defends everything that they're doing, and how much he puts in work to get people over. Like
Swell. He
that's
gets
the
$4 million a year. That's part of his job. You know what? All of you out there, wherever you work, you should defend your company. You should try to make your bosses more money. You should try to make the show better. That's part of your job. That's how you advance. And Seth Rollins does it. So good on him. He does his job.
Yeah, he's very much like Cena that way.
I'm not going to pat him on the back for working hard. You're supposed to work hard, especially when you are the top guy or a top guy. That's how you get to be a top guy. Congratulations, you did it. And now you're making millions, and you're probably set for life. And you met your wife, and she's making millions, and she's probably set for life. And one of you is going to have a career past that. Maybe both of you, in Hollywood. So congratulations to both of you. Good job. But I don't think it's some great accomplishment that he works hard. Big deal. So does the backup cornerback on the football team. And when he blows coverage, you're saying, bench him, cut him, sign a free agent.
Yeah. I don't think that'll get that far, but I see what you mean. Yeah, because with baseball,
We got to run commercials today.
There's a problem.
Do we have to run a commercial because it's been 30 minutes?
Oh yeah. Okay, let's run a commercial. Let's run a commercial. Let me find one.
I'll talk forever, obviously.
Thanks to everybody that's joined us so far. Thank you for being here. So while I find the commercial, I'm just going to talk the commercial. So check us out. Make sure that you watch all of our stuff, meaning all our movie stuff, our sports stuff, our TV show stuff, because everybody's making all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? Now, I know that Chris is probably shaking his head right now because he would do a much better job at this. But we did this at last minute. So, while I'm still looking for a commercial to put, I'll just put one right here. Check out our
Stratton and Fallon Henley, right? Last week, Tiffany lost. And because she lost, she had to be Henley's maid, pretty much, right? So she shows up.
Maid. She had to be one of the farm hands for the day.
This poor Tiffany. I'm not even like the biggest.
Poor Tiffany, nothing. I don't want to hear no poor Tiffany. Poor Tiffany, nothing. She has been nothing but an egotistical, money-hungry, bully, bitch, evil woman who needed to get knocked down a peg or 500, and being put into a farm to work was exactly what she needed. And even though she didn't like it and was complaining and didn't want to wear the clothes that Fallon was giving her just so she wouldn't get her normal clothes dirty, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you like to have. Flaunt around like you have. You do not get to belittle people and not get anything handed to you like that.
Belittling people are fun. Just the other day, I had some guy. I told him, I said, I'll get up your hair now. What's ever left of it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Tiffany Stratton acts like a bitch, and so she should get taught a lesson.
Oh.
It was me when Ron said that to me. really hurt my feelings.
I'd love to see Tony Storm and Tiffany Stratton in a lingerie match.
Only one of them looks good in lingerie, and it's not Tony Storm.
Hey, man. Wait, listen. Tiffany Stratton's gear is amazing. Like the cakes, that cake, man, all of that cake that's showing up is amazing. And Tony Storm, that girl is Cake City. But anyway.
We'll never get it. I mean, I do understand it. I just don't get it. There's better cakes out there. There's
Oh.
cakes without cankles out there.
Oh, that was funny.
I know.
That was funny, man. Oh man. So now
That said,
let's talk
Toni
about-
Storm is the best character in AEW right now, and one of the best characters in wrestling. Doing a great job.
Oh yeah, she definitely is. I agree. All right, so now let's talk about the Kabuki Warriors.
Let's do it. Awesome.
That
This was quick, right?
Yeah, that was an interesting match. Even though it was incredibly predictable, right?
Not so quickly, though. Not so swiftly. Not the first try. I guess spoiler: the Kabuki Warriors won clean, and they are your new WWE/NXT undisputed, uncontested women's tag team champions. And they celebrated with everyone except Bailey, which this is phenomenal. I feel bad for K&K Dance Factory because I like those girls, but come on, everyone knew they were transition champions. Just to know it was going to be for as short as 4 weeks. We thought maybe like 3 months, but there's much bigger stories afoot, and there's much bigger names coming in, and those ladies are young and they're a fun little team, and they'll get their times again, times multiple. It's just not now.
Yeah, they had their storybook run, and yeah, pretty much that's it. Like I guess their highlight is beating Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And
they'll have more highlights. Don't worry. They might turn into some mean Cinderellas at some point. Listen, talk about better cake. Kaden Carter, better cake than Toni Storm, in my opinion. From head to toe. Well, that's what we were just saying, Captain. So you are obviously a genius. Not that I didn't know that already. Vic, I had to convince.
Tells off of them so quick, but I feel like it hasn't been that long. I mean, I don't know. A lot of that just felt predictable. It looks like they're going with the Undisputed Era story for the for Damage Control. I have a feeling that's what they're doing.
Except tomorrow, Bailey's going to fail tomorrow, and there's going to be a beatdown, and some old friends are going to forgive her transgressions. And despite what Andrew Zarian and Sean Ross Sapp and everyone else has been saying, I still say that we're going to see the boss, Sasha Banks, tomorrow. Not in the Rumble, but at the Rumble.
Probably. I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see Naomi there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Sasha Banks there. And then some kind of situation going down with Damage Control. And
no, Jeffrey, it shouldn't have. The reason that shouldn't have is because it's setting up the story for tomorrow. So you have some time to marinate, and it's something for people to talk about other than the obvious bad stuff to talk about, so they can start talking about wrestling again. It was actually, if it wasn't planned before and they changed it, it was actually tactically genius to get people arguing about wrestling again, just like we're doing today. But listen, I'm invested in Sean Ross Sapp being wrong, because I think he's a cock. I actually like Marion, but he is getting a little cocky with him thinking these sources. And I know who his sources are and what they are. And they're going to get a lot wrong because they're in sales. And salespeople are told to sell everything, even things that don't necessarily happen. And he keeps thinking that it's 100%. So he's going to get some things that no one else gets, like Collision. But he's also going to get things wrong for the same reason, like TV 14 and the last, and saying AEW is going to be on Max, which he's been saying is very soon, since 2022. And one day he might be right. And by the way, I will tell you why that's not good news, but you can find it on my thread on Icarus Fell MD. But yeah, back to you, sir.
Well, so now that these girls are the tag team champions, we'll see what's going to happen. But the one thing I find interesting about these belts is that these are the only belts in WWE that can go everywhere. So I'm curious to see if the Kabuki Warriors will show up in NXT as the champions for something.
They should. What female tag teams are there in NXT? I mean, if NXT has one glaring weakness, it's that they haven't built any tag teams. The closest one was Lola Vice and Elektra Lopez, and they just wisely broke them up, for good storyline reasons. But they haven't built your Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. By the way, I call them K&K Dance Factory for those who don't know.
Everybody dance now.
It looks like they might be starting something with Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley. Maybe not. They might be starting something with Fallon Henley. And I can't even remember who she just rescued because that person isn't particularly. Oh, it's Ren Sinclair, Maddie Renkowski, who just signed. So that could be too interesting. The Country Girls. I still want Mickey James to team with Fallon Henley, but that's just my little wish casting. But yeah, they haven't really built any women's tag teams while they are building men's tag teams, and it was a while since they built some. But anyway, yeah, I think they'll go down there, but I think they have to have like at least an average women's tag team before they bother going down there.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens because it fits with the storyline of them taking all the gold and adding more people to the stuff and whatever. If that's where they're going, right?
I don't think
so now, one thing that we didn't.
I don't think that's. I mean, I think that is the story. We're going to get all the gold, but I think Bailey is going to fail tomorrow. And I keep saying tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean today. I mean
tonight.
Yeah. I don't want Jeffrey.
Yeah, you keep doing that Gunther move.
That's right. I'm like Chris Jericho. When I face you Friday night on Rampage, even though it's going to be in 15 minutes.
Facts. That's funny. All right, so now let's get into. Oh, wait a minute, we almost missed the match. LA Knight versus Solo Sikoa. Interesting. LA Knight pretty much started the night talking about how, hey, look how
we missed probably the most important part of the show for tonight for the Royal Rumble, maybe, and that was R-Truth.
Facts.
He's playing around with the tumbler. He says to Mr. Pierce that his hair grows very fast and with a lot of full body, which is amazing. And then he goes, does this mean I have COVID? And they're like, no, this is your place in the Royal Rumble. He's like, oh, great. But doesn't that mean that plus would be a T if it's positive. This would be negative for a test, which means R-Truth is probably number one. So all of you out there going, Cody and CM Punk are number one. CM Punk ain't got that endurance yet. R-Truth is number one.
Facts. I wouldn't be surprised if R-Truth is number one. That's a
great UPR exclusive.
Yes. No, I love it because that's a great way to start the Rumble. If the second person is somebody from Judgment Day, that's definitely a great way to start the Rumble. I think it would be hilarious. I'm definitely here for it. If R-Truth ends up being like one of the last few people, that will also be hilarious. But I got a feeling that, that's true, right? I think it's definitely number one. It'd be great to have him start the show and then start with a couple of surprises and then just keep people coming in. That. I mean, listen, my favorite thing about R-Truth right now is the Tom and Nick shirt. Oh, freaking Dominic Mysterio.
I didn't pick a favorite thing about R-Truth, but if I'm gonna if you're making a pick,
no, I'm just being right now, dude. This whole thing that he's doing, this whole thing with this shirt and the Tom and Nick, and like everything just being dumb, like it's just so fucking.
I'm going with the video from the time I was born. I always wanted to be a member of the Judgment Day. But like it's still 30 men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if it was 40 men and he got 40, like you could go biblical and and plague times and think 40 means quarantine, but that's a little bit meta. It's one. He's got a negative sign, thinking negative means he's got a sickness. He's one.
He's normal. Yeah. So that's definitely should be interesting. I love everything that he does. I mean, it's amazing. And sometimes it reminds me of when he was a heel. And I'm just like, damn, man, this guy's really it. Like, this guy, I just respect him because I don't think he takes the business that seriously as far as like his ego. He's always willing to do business and always just willing to entertain. And
Disagree.
I think
He does take the business seriously as a business, as his job, as career, not
I
as
see what you mean.
not
I see what you
that
mean.
he
I'm
needs
talking
to
about
win
like people's
Oscars.
egos.
Right.
Mm.
He is, there are people who are character actors that you see in a movie, you're like, oh, that guy. And you probably can't think of anything else he's been in, but they do 60 movies a year. Like William
Facts.
Sanderson. I mean, David Sanderson. No, William Sanderson. Or like what Fred Thompson used to do. And it's like, oh, it's that guy. And eventually when they're like 77, like John Saxon or the guy who looks like Powers Booth, they're in everything, and you see what's your favorite role with this guy, and then you're like, oh, that's his name. But yeah, I mean, our truth is, I mean, he's around 50. People disagree as to if he's in his late 40s or early 50s. I don't care, whatever it is. He's great, and he was a heel, but maybe yeah. So whatever he is, it's brilliant. It's working, and people throw this around too loosely, but our truth is a WWE treasure, and he should be protected at all costs.
Yes, I agree.
And however many millions he's going to make off this stuff, he's earned every penny of it.
Definitely. But yeah, that whole thing was interesting with him. And now let's go on to Solo and LA Knight.
Let's do it.
So Solo Sikoa versus LA Knight. So that pretty much that match pretty much ended the night, and it just pretty much just set up everything for tonight's Fatal 4-Way. They started the match going back and forth, and then everybody comes out and starts with the BS. Starts with that ha 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 ha. So now let's get into it. I'm not gonna go by. I don't think this match is gonna start the show. Sometimes they do shit like that, where they will just have a match like this start the show. I don't think it's gonna happen, but when it comes to this match, as far as the title goes, everybody feels like Roman is going to retain somehow, because the way that they're booking it just makes it seem like finally somebody can take it from Roman, because Roman doesn't have to be pinned. I certainly think that, if it's not going to be Jimmy or Solo helping out, maybe somebody else will show up. I think, kind of like what you were alluding to earlier, where they should bring more people. Now, personally, what I would like to see is Roman get screwed out of the title by The Rock, so for them to set that matchup. Because personally, I don't think they need a title for those two to fight, right? It's not the best way to have Roman drop the title after such a long time.
The head of the table without a title doesn't mean as much. That's what Roman said that many times. The Rock just said it on an interview. So I want to listen. I don't think The Rock is going to play a role in this. Maybe a brief appearance, but I don't even think that, because you don't want to overshadow the Royal Rumble itself. As far as the booking of this match, if you didn't hear what I said at the top of the show, I'm not saying it twice. Go back and talk about it. But it involved our discussion way at the beginning of the show about AJ Styles, etc. But I agree with where I think you're going is that I think you agree with everyone else is that Roman is winning, because everybody is supposed to be, somebody can take it, but when it's somebody, they usually cancel each other out, not like the Three Stooges, but for the sake of brevity, let them all run into each other and Three Stooge each other out and Roman wins. But yeah, I think there'll be shenanigans, but I already geniusly game planned it and fantasy booked it at the top of the show. So rewind, scroll back, move your little finger toggle, to the left and turn it back, and then come back to, we are at 49 minutes and 11 seconds, and you can rejoin us live.
Yep. So now let's get into a match that I think will start the show, and that is the famous Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens match. I personally think that this is going to be something memorable. I don't think it can steal the show because it's the Royal Rumble, but I definitely think it's going to be something memorable because, the promos that have been going back and forth with these guys has been amazing. That whole little stint at the Performance Center that they did was pretty nice. And, they're getting everybody excited about this match. Now, I think there's going to be a title change. I wouldn't be surprised if Logan Paul walks into WrestleMania with that belt. But I don't know. I don't know. Like I think that I don't see a positive for Kevin Owens if he loses. I don't necessarily think that Logan Paul has to win, but if Logan Paul does something at WrestleMania, then in my opinion, he definitely should have the title or drop the title at WrestleMania. But I definitely think it's going to be an interesting match because you could definitely see the chemistry between these two.
Well, who's your prediction? Who's winning?
Kevin Owens. I think actually, I think it would be Logan Paul just because of WrestleMania, but I'm hoping that it's Kevin Owens. I'd rather see that.
Make a prediction, Vic. Who's winning? There's only two choices.
Logan Paul.
Okay. All right. So I agree with a lot of what you said. I don't think it matters if Logan Paul wins or not. I don't feel strong about this prediction, but I think it's better to have the U.S. Championship, which is sort of like a workhorse champion, which they desperately need on SmackDown because Roman is going to retain and he's part-time. So I think Kevin Owens takes it. I think the story is going to be that he basically breaks his hand and sacrifices his hand to win the match. I wouldn't be surprised if when Logan Paul is doing the buckshot lariat, he doesn't walk into that fist or walk into a kick into the stunner and his own momentum costs it, or one of his own cronies tries to get him the brass knuckles and Kevin Owens gets that, but he breaks his hand doing it so that Kevin Owens only holds the title for like 1 week or something like that. But I do think Kevin Owens is going to win, and they are going to try to make it memorable. But as you said, nothing steals the show over the Royal Rumble. Even if the Rumble isn't good, the surprises themselves is what people are looking forward to. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think you said Logan Paul. I'm saying Kevin Owens.
Mm. Okay, cool.
So cool. Roman, so now, we agree on. Kevin Owens, U.S. title, we split on.
Okay, so now I think it's going to be. I think the first Rumble is going to be the Women's Rumble.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're promoting that it's going to be Bayley. I feel like a lot of people feel like it's going to be Bayley. I personally think it's might end up being Bianca Belair just going after Io Sky's belt. If not Bianca Belair, then somebody out of surprise or somebody that they want to push.
Who you picking?
Bianca.
I'm on to you. I know you like to hedge and you like to say a lot of words so that you can't be pinned down. Who you picking?
No, I mean, I'm picking, like I said, I'm picking Bianca, right? Okay. But because like everybody's saying Bayley, I don't necessarily think Bayley needs it. I think they can basically use this as a story to continue building up something.
They can. The story is that Bayley's supposed to win so that she can not go after Io's belt, but she's supposed to go after Mommy's belt. But Bayley ain't winning. She's fouling. Whether it's because she's betrayed in the Rumble or the disappointment afterwards is like, we all got gold. You don't. No, I think WWE tipped their hand. Too many promos, too many stare downs. It's going to be Becky. That's the big match. Becky versus Rhea. We haven't seen it yet. There's plenty of different ways to get Bianca against Io Sky. In the Royal Rumble, though, I'd like to talk about who do we, any surprises. So I think that this is not a surprise, but I think Jade Cargill will be in there. She'll have a Kane-like debut where she'll do a lot of eliminations and it'll take, like 7 to 10 women to throw out of it. As far as surprise, I mean, obviously, I think there'll be some NXT people. I think you're going to get Blair Davenport will be in there because she's certainly ready. I think Fallon Henley is main roster ready. Tiffany Stratton will be in there. And I think they have to put Lyra Valkyria in there because she's the NXT champion, that they've sort of had precedent with that. On I think from outside of WWE, I hope they go a little bit legend soft, but I really want there to be Mickie James. I would really like to see Camille. And
I definitely want to see Naomi if she's available.
oh yeah,
I
no,
definitely would love to see her on her Kofi Kingston.
I think Naomi is almost guaranteed. And like I said, I don't think Sasha's going to be in the Rumble, but I wouldn't be terribly surprised. But she's going to be at the Rumble. And I don't mean as a spectator either, buying a ticket. So though
you mean
I wouldn't be
somebody
surprised if they played off on that. If they played off on the Leslie thing where she's in the crowd. AJ Lee is a possibility. I don't think AJ Lee is.
I would love to see that.
A lot of people. I just think that it's going to take a little bit away from Punk. Who, spoiler, that's my pick to win the Men's Royal Rumble is CM Punk.
You know, I think that Punk kind of I think that Punk kind of put that into people's heads when he first came out, when he just mentioned her, I think in his first promo, and he said how she's doing great and all this other stuff. Yeah, when he just, because it's not like he called her April or anything like that, he called her AJ. I mean, that kind of just been because that's how everybody knows her, but still, like, I think that he kind of just put that into everybody's head, like, there's a possibility of her coming back, and maybe there is, who knows, but she doesn't necessarily need to. So I certainly would pop if I saw her. Either. I'll tell you that much.
I don't know. I know a lot of people talking about Julia. I don't think she's going to come and nobody will know who she is, but I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't people who were sort of big stars in Mexico and Japan who came in, like one from each, like someone, whoever the Stardom champion is right now, or some Japanese promotion.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and like whoever, like the AAA women's champion, assuming they have such a thing. Like not a Tessa Blanchard or someone like that, but someone that, even though no one will know who she is, they have a giant belt from a promotion that is not a threat to WWE, but letting the world know that WWE recognizes other promotions and is willing to work with them and let them showcase. I don't think anyone from Impact. Mickie James is not with Impact anymore. She hasn't been for a long time. She actually works for OVW now as the booker for the women's division. So I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Mickie James there, though.
I picked her. She was my first one. I mean, but I pick her every year, so it's like, eventually I'll be right. I'm like Andrew Zarian with Max and AEW. Eventually I'll be right. I wouldn't be surprised to see like Miss Jacqueline. So I don't know. Trish or Lita will be there. I don't think both. I don't think Trish likes the way that her exit is, and Lita, she doesn't really have it anymore. But you don't need to have much in the Rumble, so.
You don't. You just need to show up, do a couple moves, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't think Melina carries any weight anymore. So I'm not really sure. I know Alicia Fox is wrestling under a different name, but I don't think they need her. I would love it. Listen, I know I'm a mark, and most people don't like either of these, but I would love it if Nikki Bella came in. Not Brie, but Nikki. Actually, Brie also would make me crack up. Both of them, but I'm not predicting it. But there are actually some people naming people. People are saying
interesting. That definitely.
I don't think Okada, because he's still under contract with New Japan. I know it's not impossible, but I don't think so. I think he's legitimately still choosing where he's going, or he wants to keep it a surprise. I think he takes that part of it seriously. Tacha Mikinoko will return while Lundra plays will with the other. All right, he's fooling around. Mine too. Obviously. Cardona and Chris Masters.
All right.
I think Cardona. I would like to see Cardona. Chris Masters, in the last year, I've seen him look great, and I've seen him look completely soft. So obviously, it depends what level of steroids he's on right now. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Latimer, who is Camille's husband, if Camille really is coming to NXT. But nobody will know who he is. It would be cool
So
to have
now,
Chris Masters and Bobby Lashley redo the Master Lock, contest.
be cool to what?
The full Nelson contest. Which one has the bigger full Nelson? One thing I'm pretty sure. Listen, I think that we will find out a lot about what TKO thinks about the lawsuit we're not talking about if Brock Lesnar does not appear. And I'm saying Brock Lesnar was scheduled to appear and won't appear, but I think I think we definitely see Braun Breaker. And maybe Josh Briggs also gets eliminates two people and then gets thrown out by Omos.
As far as
and I think Omos is in it, by the way. He does his Royal Rumble.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's the modern day Great Khali. So yeah, they definitely need, somebody big like that. I definitely see him going in this. I mean, speaking about him, not to go back to Bobby Lashley, but I think that Omos and Bobby Lashley should join. I mean, Omos and MVP should join the rest of them. I think that's.
I do too. And you want to know why I'm sure of it? Because a couple of weeks ago, when Paul Heyman was shopping around for a teammate for the Bloodline to be the third, Bobby Lashley's like, the only way I'll do this, the only way I want to face the Bloodline is across the ring from Roman Reigns. Well, dummy, you made a business deal a year and a half ago with The Miz, which got you a title shot and the title. So it was right there. MVP wouldn't have forgotten, I'm just saying. But yeah, I know Bobby Lashley was the first to break it, but that was 18 years ago, dude. Nobody remembers. And Okada is going to AEW, you believe? That's what they want you to believe? I believe he's going to WWE. Why? Because Nakamura keeps saying chaos, and commentary keeps saying chaos, and that's the faction they were both in together. And I think that Okada, listen, there's a lot of good reasons why one would think he's going to AEW, but if he's watching TV, he knows that, like, you're made a big deal of for 3 weeks, and then after that, who knows what's going to happen to you. And in WWE, I think he has a better chance to break out. Anyway, I really don't care where Okada goes, to be honest with you, because the last 5 matches I saw with him, Daniel Bryan got injured in 2 of them, and Adam Cole got injured in 1 of them. I'm not saying that's necessarily Okada, but he doesn't seem like a good luck charm to me. I just want to see the AEW fans cry because they're so obnoxious. I don't mean all of them. I mean the ones you see on Twitter. The cleric is definitely trying to sow chaos and coming up with all of these the wrestlers from the last 40 names. I'm surprised he hasn't named Colonel De Beers and Cousin Junior yet,
or the Shockmaster or somebody crazy like that. All right, so let's get into the men's rumble. Personally, after doing a lot of thinking, I think that it's going to be Gunther, for the simple fact that I think that's the safest bet for him to go after Seth. Seth drops the belt, and then Gunther becomes Superman.
Gunther is not
especially after that promo that they had.
I don't care about that promo. That promo was supposed to make it. Gunther is a very inside wrestling giant star, but when you see him, I love Gunther. I think it's terrific. I think he should be the Intercontinental Champion for at least 7.5 of the next 10 years in the aggregate. He should go down in history as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. But he's not the Ultimate Warrior. He isn't that star that you put 2 belts on WrestleMania in 1 match. He just isn't that guy. Gunther is not main event in WrestleMania. Not now. I'm not going to say not ever, because things can change. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's not ever. Could he main event like a SummerSlam or another secondary card, even one of the top 4? Yeah, but not this ain't it. They want you. They're trying to make you think that it's good. I mean, it is going to be CM Punk or Cody Rhodes, but because Cody Rhodes, to finish his story, he has to have lots of detours, perils, twists, and turns in getting there. CM Punk is got to win it, and he'll challenge Seth. So make no mistake, Cody will finish his story. Does he win? Maybe the hero gets vanquished in the story. Who knows? But he will finish the story one way or another, and Seth's going to face Punk for the title that Seth has elevated it, and for the who's really the best in the world, match.
Well, I got a feeling that there's going to be some shenanigans between CM Punk and Cody. That might probably lead to more, or that could have just been the setup for that. But tonight, I think in the men's rumble, I really don't think that this rumble is predictable. which makes it, in my opinion, way more entertaining. Because you have a lot of people that, like everybody's saying that Cody's gonna finish the story. I don't know. But then CM Punk coming back in is, that's a big deal. So, and everybody's saying like, look, for Punk to come in and then to not win the Rumble and to not get a Mania match and I don't necessarily think it has to happen now. Now, a lot of people are saying Roman and The Rock at Mania. I don't think that has to happen at Mania. So it could end up being Cody and Roman. Could end up being, somebody else in Roman. So, it's very, very interesting. By tomorrow morning,
I think we all agree with this comment from Jeffrey. I think we all agree with it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's very unpredictable, and the women will definitely have a lot of surprises. The men's, I don't think the men's will have that many surprises. Probably get maybe two. One of my favorites, just to go back.
By the way, here is my crazy ass prediction, and that is that Max the Impaler wins both the men's and the women's round.
I mean, listen, I would love to see this again. Nia Jax take somebody out and then just join the men's rumble. I would love to see.
Okay, Chris. All right.
I would love to see.
Just put your sunglasses on and put on an Adidas tracksuit, and I'll know that you're Chris Harris. Just take off your mask, your Mission Impossible mask, and just admit that you're Chris Harris right now.
That shit would be so fucking funny. I mean, when I don't think I ever popped harder for something in the Royal Rumble than that.
Okay. All right. Well,
that whole thing with Nia Jax was just fucking amazing.
Well, you know what? Take your baby aspirin tonight so that you don't pop your heart. Just in case. Better safe than sorry.
Now, other than that, I don't think I mean, my other favorite surprise was when Booker T was in the announcement booth, and then all of a sudden, takes his stuff out, comes in, does a spin arena. That was interesting.
That was a great surprise until you saw him move. We don't need to see that again.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't need to see it, and we don't need Alberto Del Rio. We don't need Enzo.
Alberto Del Rio.
I mean Andrade is expected. That doesn't count as a surprise, but yeah, we'll see Andrade.
No, Andrade, I wouldn't be surprised to see him tonight.
I think Shamrock.
That would be hilarious. I would pop for that. He clearly would last 2 minutes in the ring, but I would pop for that.
What about Kurt Angle?
No. I would be worried for him. I would be worried for him at this point.
It's the Rumble. Well, they'll have Chad Gable and they'll have the entire Alpha Academy making sure that when he's thrown out that he has a very safe and soft landing.
No, we'll see. Hold on. Is there anybody? Who's from Tampa?
Hulk Hogan.
Who can get a big? He can get a big.
Ed Leslie.
I mean, you know what though? There's been rumors about that because right now they're celebrating the big Hogan 40. But I mean, nobody really wants to see that.
Nobody wants to see that.
You know what I mean? I mean, they're going to capitalize on the hardcore Hogan fans always. You know what I'm saying?
There's a better chance of Jimmy Hart coming in and being thrown out after 14 seconds.
I would pop for that too.
Right, and get that occasion. Have him in some ridiculous outfit with the blow, whatever that is, the megaphone in his hand. Yeah, I mean, there's a better chance. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go right now and say I predict that Jimmy Hart goes in as a proxy for Hulk Hogan, so they celebrate the 40th anniversary of Hulkamania without Hulk Hogan.
That would be fucking hilarious. But anyway,
Disco Inferno to troll the world. No, Disco ain't going to be there.
Big E. Oh, that is a good thing that you mentioned, Chris, because that would be interesting if Big E makes his triumphant return tonight. Oh man, he'll get a huge pop because they've been waiting for him. They've been trying to get him to come out for a long, long time.
I hope and pray that he can, and he does. I just don't think that he's anywhere near being able to do so. I would be far more worried about that than Kurt Angle. We've had matches since, by the way.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. But personally, I don't think there's going to be that many surprises because um, probably I think that like I said before, I think there'll be more surprises in the women's rumble than in the men's.
I think so too.
And I got a feeling that the last four would be Cody, Punk, Gunther, and Drew. That's what I think.
Maybe, but one thing I certainly hope they don't do, I hope they don't repeat two mistakes they made last year, is populate the women's rumble with too many legends that really can't wrestle at all anymore, that really aren't up to it, and populate the men's rumble with too many tag team wrestlers where you're like, why? What's the point? So they have enough. Like, I would love it if Shelton was in this, just to show they haven't forgotten about him and they still love him.
Yeah, and he could still go. He's great. Looks great. And so, Shelton, man. They really dropped the ball on Shelton Benjamin, man. That guy, man. Anyway.
Well, they offered him a coach agent position and he turned it down. He wants to see what's out there for him. He will be working for WWE within 2 years from the date of his release. It's been about 1 year or 7 months since then. No, I don't even think it's been that long. In whatever within 2 years he will do that. He'll remember that the indies aren't so much fun after all.
I'll feel you on that.
But yeah, it would be fun if Shelton was in here. Maybe Cedric the Alexander says he hasn't forgotten anything and tosses them out of there, pretends that they're friends.
Oh
and then
my
Bobby
God.
tosses him out.
Disco Inferno is going to come back. Who is he going to come back with? Ryback?
Dave LaGreca, Conan, Mark Henry.
Right.
Mark Henry, I think, quietly doesn't work for AEW any longer, and Bully Ray and the whole, busted open radio crew.
Wait a minute, Mark Henry doesn't work for AEW anymore?
This is just my theory, but when's the last time?
So who's gonna be their Howard Finkel? Because I love it when people like it's time for the main event.
He hasn't in 6 months, and they haven't mentioned his name. So unless he's got double secret COVID, I have a feeling that his contract quietly expired and nobody's talking about it. Hey, Mark Henry might be a surprise to be in the Royal Rumble.
I would love to see a World's Strongest Slam done from Mark Henry to Otis. I don't know if he can pick him up, but I would love to see that.
Listen,
what I mean?
If Bianca Belair and Last Legend can pick up Otis, Mark Henry can still pick up Otis.
Facts, that's true, because wow. When Last Legend did that was wild.
Otis knows how to jump, and the slam doesn't need to. He doesn't need to be a gorilla press. He just needs to have him up, semi-parallel for about a second, 3/4 of a second, and then just drop him down, looking like he's arching forward. That's all.
Yeah. That's man. Anyway, I would love to see Mark Henry show up in the Rumble. That would be amazing. Man, but yeah, I think but anyway, like we was alluding to before, it's definitely going to be an amazing night of wrestling. So everybody's interested in watching this. It's not predictable at all, somewhat predictable, but I think the only match that is predictable is Kevin Owens.
The ladies love Otis, Jeffrey. All of them. Mandy Rose, Maxine Dupree, Lash Legend, Bianca. They can't keep their hands off him, literally.
Speaking about that, I don't think there's that much drama with Mandy Rose anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised if they open the door for her to.
I did pick her on Hammerlock Hangover. I forgot about that. So you know what? I'm going to say, yeah, Mandy Rose is back now on Hammerlock Hangover. Said with Paige Van Zandt, but I don't think. I mean, you know what? Why not? Why the fuck not?
Bring her in.
I would rather see Mandy and Paige, or Mandy or Paige, than say, Kelly again, or Ivory again, or Molly Holly. I mean, it's, these ladies are like 60 years old at this point. They're not Sting. Leave them be. Yeah,
that's true.
Ivory was embarrassing last year. I mean, she looks good, but she's an older woman, and she looked good going into the ring, but it looked awkward going out of the ring.
So now they, I wonder if
Sonya Deville,
Charlotte Flair would show up. I mean, I don't think that she's going to show up to wrestle, but as far
She
as
just started
like,
rehab. But Sonya,
okay.
Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Alexa Bliss are all in play.
Oh, Alexa Bliss might come back. Yes. Wait a minute. Oh no, yeah, she had the baby and everything.
Yeah,
So,
her and
she's
Carmella
good.
had the babies around the same time, which was about 4 months ago. They could get back into shape if they're not in complete shape. They can wear a onesie if they want to, and none of them are going to win. I mean,
yeah, that's true, but they definitely great feeling.
Listen, the contemplated team
Definitely.
of Carmella and Chelsea Green as the Karens would have been better than any combination. When she comes back, those ladies will get tag team gold at some point.
Oh wow, yeah, Chelsea Green and Carmella, that would be great. That would be great. And then freaking her husband will just give her all the heel praise. That would be great. Yeah.
Now, listen, given what Carmella has gone through, if she never wants to leave the side of that baby until the kid is 23 years old, I mean, I get it, I understand, but I hope she comes back. I've always been a fan of hers, and like there was a few years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, where I did a segment on the show where I said, you know what, people, you might have been right at some point, but now you're wrong. Carmella doesn't suck. She's pretty good. And she's a pretty good wrestler, and she looks great. So anyway, I'm hoping Carmella comes back. I'm hoping Alexa. I'm hoping they both can, but I'm hoping Sonya makes her that she's well enough to come. And yeah, so Liv I think is almost guaranteed. Oh, Alexa got a star. Look at that. The captain agrees with me, so I know I'm right. Jeffrey misses Mella, so I know I'm right. Bailey or Becky. Well, I already said Becky, so I know. So you're half right. I sound like Chris right now saying that I know everything, right?
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, because we also got to remember that backlash is coming. So there's.
Wait, let me put my sunglasses
I'm curious
on
to see what shenanigans happen at the moment.
Damn it! These aren't sunglasses.
Backlash is coming. So however it is that show is surrounded around Rhea Ripley, I think we're gonna find out tonight. I think that whoever wins the women's Rumble is going to go after Io's belt. And I think that Backlash is going to be surrounded around who's going to fight Rhea Ripley. That's why I don't think that Becky Lynch is going to win tonight. So,
I think the opposite. I think Bianca wins the Elimination Chamber to get to her, just like Cody wins the Elimination Chamber to get to Roman, or there's some deal with Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce on that one, something. Anyway, that doesn't matter. We made our picks. And it's cool I think it's good that we pick different people, because that makes it interesting. If we all pick the same people and we were all wrong, that would make it less interesting. That would be bad for the brand. But we gave them an hour and 17 minutes. Good crowd. I know on YouTube alone, we're in double digits. Who knows what's on Facebook, Twitter, and the rest of the. By the way, those of you who are out there, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Make sure to subscribe and hit notifications. If you're not watching on YouTube, please at some point go over to YouTube and hit subscribe and like and share and notifications. But please subscribe. We are trying to build the YouTube subscriber base. So even if you don't want to watch on YouTube, although we'd love it if you would, at least subscribe there. Just it helps in ways that you should know if you listen to any other content creator. It just is sort of unrivaled. But yeah, folks, we could use your help so we can keep on entertaining you on both wrestling and pop culture, and entertainment, and in all sorts of other just remarkable and unpredictable ways, and in unpopular ways.
I like the way you set that up. That was nice. All right. Well, it looks like everybody is going to definitely be enjoying tonight's show. So yeah,
this ain't happening, but Terry Runnels coming in would be a great FU to Dustin, and nobody deserves it more.
Oh wow! Wow! Imagine. I mean, shit. I've never even seen her run, so I don't know. I don't even remember her ever even getting in the ring. I think the most athletic thing I've ever seen her do is just getting ragdolled by China.
Oh, she did.
Usually I could be wrong, but I don't ever remember her.
Let's just say that it was always safe for her to drive at night.
That's fucking
Okay,
true.
you got it. Shall we say goodbye to the ham and eggers?
So, yes, we should. Yes, we should. So, thank you, everybody, for coming in and chatting with us and talking wrestling. I know all of you are definitely going to enjoy tonight's show because, like we said several times, it's unpredictable. So, it's definitely going to be a good time. And Monday's discussion should be very interesting because the landscape should be totally different from where we have it at this moment. So
it might be so interesting.
For me,
I'm
Vic.
Tomorrow.
Evil Dose. We might. We might. You never know. You never know. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Hang out with us soon. Check out all our stuff. Take care.
Stable, my friends.